President Donald Trump gave an interview to the New York Times yesterday and expressed his displeasure with newly appointed Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his testimony in front of Congress and for also recusing himself from any Russian investigations without notifying him first. Let's listen to Judge Andrew Napolitano and his views on this situation.
In an explosive interview with the New York Times, President Trump blasting Attorney General Jeff Sessions over his recusal from the Russia probe.
Jeff Sessions takes the job, gets into the job, recuses himself, which frankly, I think is very unfair to the president. If he would have recused himself before the job, I would have said, thanks, Jeff, but I can't, I'm not going to take you.
Here to react is Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, thanks for being here.
Oh, sure. Good morning,
Good
my
morning.
dear friend. Honestly, I don't think that Jeff Sessions should have recused himself, and I said it at the time, and I'll say now that he probably should not have accepted the nomination to be Attorney General. He probably should have said, Mr. President, you know these characters. They're going to investigate the campaign. They've already been making noises about it. They embarrassed Mike Flynn by selectively leaking portions of conversations he had with one of the Russians. That's going to make me, Jeff Sessions, a witness. At worst, at best, I'm going to have to step aside. You really want an Attorney General that can't control one of the biggest investigations the Justice Department has conducted since Watergate? Well, that's what we have now. We have one of the biggest investigations that the Justice Department has conducted since Watergate being run by somebody who was not appointed by the President of the United States. So that's President Trump's frustration, and I understand that. The other argument is, attorneys general and presidents have sometimes been very close. We had an attorney general who was the brother of the President of the United States. I speak, of course, of Robert and John Kennedy. Many people think that was the glory days of the Justice Department. It was such a well-oiled machine for civil rights and civil liberties. However, having said that, the statement he made to the New York Times has got to be just demoralizing to the Attorney General and to many, many good people in the Justice Department who work there.
Sounds like the president's trying to get him to step down.
It does.
He's upset with him. During the confirmation hearings, he never admitted that he had met with the Russian ambassador. Came out later that he did, and then he has to recuse himself.
Right.
And this is the biggest investigation on his desk right now.
Right. I think that the failure to mention having shaken hands with the Russian ambassador on two receiving lines is an insufficient basis for the Attorney General to say, I'm out of this huge investigation.
Now, if he does step down, then what happens next? Does someone else step in and then take over the investigation?
Well,
or does
the number two person in the Justice Department is the person who appointed Bob Mueller. That's Rod Rosenstein. Now, that doesn't mean that President Trump would nominate Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein to become the Attorney General. I think the president would want to put his own person in there. But you're talking about a 5 or 6 month time period. And in that time period, Rod Rosenstein, who appointed Bob Mueller, would be running everything in the Justice Department because there would be no Attorney General if this happens.
All right. Rod Rosenstein, he was on with Martha McCallum last night, and he said that James Comey was wrong to leak the Trump memos. Do you agree with him? Well,
I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage here because I'm going to guess that Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein has seen the memos, and of course I have not. As you know, we're dying to see these memos. But if they contained materials which were classified as confidential, secret, or top secret before he released them, then the Deputy Attorney General is right. If the memos were just memos to the file, a recollection of a conversation so that he could refresh his memory in a later time, then there was nothing unlawful or even violative of DOJ regulations by releasing them. So it's going to depend on what's in there. And I guarantee you at some point we're going to see these things because they're going to become irrelevant.
It all just seems like such a mess. Conflict of interest, too, because Rosenstein, according to the president, went into the Oval Office and he wanted to have the FBI position. Now he's appointing Mueller.
I understand the president's frustration. He wants to govern. He does not want to be in the trenches fighting investigation after investigation after investigation, but that's where he is now. He may be thinking of some grand way to put an end to this, which would mean a substantial change in the personnel of the people that run the Justice Department. We'll see. I don't know what's going on. I know Jeff Sessions very well. I don't know what's going through his head this morning, but it can't be happy thoughts.
Thank you, Judge.
No, you're welcome.